the Ford Report, actually, a lot of the credit for creating that has to go to Evan Money and Chris Iquinta. They had a radio show out in California, 2 or 3 years ago now? I mean, it's been a while. And I've known Chris for a while. I've known Evan forever. And he and I was really involved with 68caliber.com at the time. And I was known for doing hard news, investigative stuff, really going after information and all that stuff. And I was known as a hard news guy. And they wanted a hard news segment for their radio show. So they asked me every week, on Thursday, I think it was, please send us, a list of things that you think are newsworthy. And I started doing that. And I don't even know why I did it. It was just one of those things I did for grins and giggles. I had a lot of friends in the industry, like Eric Stork. I forget. What was the guy from Center Flag? He was a real close friend, and I haven't spoken to him in several years now, and it sucks. People like that, people that I'd known for a very long time. Oh, excuse me. And, I considered friends, and I'd send this to them. Every week, I'd copy them on what I sent Chris and Evan. And they had, they really enjoyed it. And one day I asked these guys, I was like, what do you think? I ought to start doing this regularly? And they're like, oh, hell yeah. So I created a mailing list, and I'd start sending it out every week. And as of right now, I've got around 900 people subscribed.
Beautiful.
A lot of them are industry people. A lot of them are just regular players, field owners. I mean, it's a really wide variety of people.
Me, for example,
I'm sorry?
And people like me who are just complete yucks, who you should probably just sort of find a filter to get rid of us.
Well, you don't really have to be anybody special to read the Ford Report, because I'm sure as hell not anybody special. It's just, it's just me basically taking a look at the industry every week and having fun with it. For instance, if you read the Ford Report and you didn't know any better, you'd think Frank Connell comes over to my house once a week and beats the shit out of me. Now, and it's really kind of a joke, because Frank is one of the more intimidating players out there. And in person, he can be a pretty intimidating guy. But once you know him, he's actually a very nice guy, and I consider him a friend. And he catches a lot of hell from all his pro player buddies, about how he goes over to my house and beats the crap out of me. And so does, oh, God, I just went blank on him, the captain of the Hurricanes. What's his name offhand? I don't remember it.
Someone will toss it up in the chat, and you can pretend like you remembered.
I honestly don't remember. But anyways, people like that. My wife, she's referred to as the tiny blonde goddess because she's 4'11", she's blonde.
Jeff Stein.
And yeah, she's a small lady. And my, of course, horrifically obese cat, 17-pound calico. She's, a big part of the Ford Report too. And then there's just people, that I have fun with. And I have fun with the industry. And, I just try and take something that could really be really completely fucking boring and make it fun, as fun as you can make it.
Do you get the same reaction to the Ford Report that I get to this show, where people who don't play paintball, you say, oh, so what are you spending all your time on? And I say, oh, well, I've got this hourly show I do every week on the internet about paintball. And they go, every week? Yeah. An entire hour? Yeah. About paintball? Yeah. What did you talk about? I mean, come on. Do you do the same thing? Like, really? Every week you put out a list of... Do you have to repeat the same stuff every week? Or do you just make shit up? Or really? People are interested in that? Maybe it's just me that gets that sort of response.
I run into people like that, and I'm like, oh, yeah, it's a very big deal. And they're like, well, how long have you been playing? I'm like, well, I've been playing off and on for 21 years. They're like, it's been around that long? I'm like, yeah. So, I mean, the public is starting to wake up. I mean, you're starting to see more mainstream press taking a look at paintball and being at least neutral about it, not necessarily the hit pieces you saw in the past. It's starting to come out of that niche shell, and people are becoming more aware of it. It's just, there are still people that, well, only fags do that. Well, okay, kiss my ass. My boss, I've got a supervisor at work, and he thought I was nuts. And he told me he thought I was completely insane for running around in the woods and shooting people. I'm like, how the hell would you know? Why don't you come out and try it? No, I'm too old. I'm like, shut up, you're only like 5 years older than me. And, between me and Willie from Tech BB and Mike Phillips from Tech BB, who are also friends of mine, we got my supervisor Dave out there, and we introduced him to the sport the right way. We didn't just like drag him out onto the field and blow his head off.
Oh, come on.
I know, it was really thrilling. But we played this game that Mike developed, and it's basically for new players to get an idea of what paintball is like, but without the risk of getting shot. And as it turned out, my boss got to live out that dream of all supervisors, and he got to shoot one of his employees, and with my own gun, no less. So, it was a really positive thing, and his son was with him, and his son had a really great time. They're not addicted yet, but it's a matter of time, because Willie is really working on him, and of course he sees me every day, and everybody. I was in a meeting a couple of years ago. It was one of those high-end industry meetings where everybody's taking this long strategic view of how they're going to help and try and bring the sport back to life and help all these field and store owners. That isn't really necessary. If you, as a player, if you really genuinely give a shit about the sport, you'll take it to people that don't understand or don't know and try and introduce it to them. It's all about, from the ground up rather than from the top down.
Do you think that the sport is sort of gotten a little too big for its britches? Should we just be happy with what we have and really revel in who we are instead of trying to pump ourselves up to be something that we're not, or trying to be bigger and better? Do we need to be bigger or better, or should we just be happy doing what we're doing? Because I think it's pretty freaking cool what we're doing right now, in the sport.
I would agree with that. I don't think that it was a great idea trying to get paintball on TV. It's too god-awful expensive. And, yes, there's sport, awareness of the sport is growing, or the game rather, whichever you want to call it. Awareness is growing, and TV did help with that. Mm-hmm. But from a cost-to-benefit ratio, you're spending literally millions and millions of dollars to put this thing on TV, and the result you got from it didn't measure up to that amount of money spent.
No, we've talked about it before on the program, and just talking to other people who've tried it before in the past. It's every other sport has the same one or two given rules. You can tell who's winning by their progress on the field, or who has the ball in the other person's territory, and there's one fucking ball. That's right. All you have to do. When in doubt, shoot the ball, because people want to know where the ball is. Paintball, it's just like, it's all angles and chess and all sorts of stuff. So people who play the sport really dig it, because we can really sit down and help our own game by watching the small minutia that everybody else is doing. But someone outside is watching and going, they're shooting at each other. Big deal. I don't get it.
Yeah, it's really very difficult to televise, film it correctly. That's the biggest issue. And, I'm sure it's possible, but we're talking about more and more millions of dollars thrown down a black hole.
Yeah.
A lot of the difficulties that the industry is seeing right now can be traced back to those millions and millions of dollars thrown down a black hole trying to televise it.
It's a working man's candy store. How could a man that's